Welcome to ETMA Tech Talk, the podcast that unveils forces shaping the future of tech. In each episode, we bring together visionary leaders, forward-thinking innovators, and game-changing experts who are transforming the enterprise tech landscape. Listen to insider perspectives, dive into bold stories of digital transformation and strategic breakthroughs. Here is your host, ETMA's Managing Director, Joe Basilli.
AMOP helps resellers build recurring revenue with software and mobility products. In a world where data overages can derail budgets and managing multi-carrier SIM networks feels like herding cats, AMOP, the Advanced Management Operations Platform, is turning chaos into clarity. AMOP provides a single view to manage wireless data, billing, and optimize IoT and mobility. Founded in 2020 by telecom veteran Rickie Richey, AMOP was born out of a need to simplify the complex. With over 25 years in the industry, Richey envisioned this idea of simplifying usage and customizing rate plans and eliminating costly overages for clients. Under his leadership, AMOP has become a beacon for companies seeking efficient and transparent mobility management. Joining Rickie today is Keith Singler, AMOP's president and Chief Revenue Officer. Keith brings a strategic mindset and a passion for innovation to drive AMOP's growth and forge impactful partnerships. Together, they're managing data and redefining how businesses interact with it. If you're ready to transform your approach to mobility and data management, tune in today as we chat with Rickie Richey and Keith Singler. Welcome.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
Let's talk about your firm's specialty areas and your unique value proposition that differentiates you.
Joe, about 20 years ago, I met a friend of mine and he told me about an exercise in a training class, and it said, what makes your company different? So everybody wrote down what they made themselves different, and then he listed them all on the whiteboard, and everything that somebody else had said got marked off, and everything on the board got marked off. So for 20 years, I tried to figure out, hey, how do we make ourselves different? And one day I realized that we can build a software platform that helps us sell mobility in ways carriers don't let resellers sell. We built an algorithm that allows us to optimize for mobility platforms and figure out the best way to buy it from the carrier. So that really is what started it out. And then we built other features around that platform. Our optimization really was the core of what made us different. We started extending that out to resellers and agents and now TIMs to help them manage their customer mobility better by having a tool that helps them optimize that. Optimization is the thing that made us different from the start. Now the platform is a set of tools that help them manage the back office. And that really is the thing that sets us apart.
Are there any market segments that you focus on?
We've been able to help a lot of customers in healthcare. A lot of data-only opportunities there that they're using routers or tablets or things like that. It also transformed into us being able to win and help a lot of customers in cities and municipalities, education, manufacturing, any industry with a lot of automation that wants to use a lot of data. We've been able to help customers get control of what they're doing operationally, add automation, efficiencies, lower costs, you name it. Those are the best market segments and verticals where we can help the most.
Let's start with the big picture in terms of what makes the telecom mobility space so tempting for new players.
That's a great question. He created a mobility reseller program in 2013, and we were the first partner. Our goal back then was to make mobility 50% of our business. Well, that's took us 12 years to get there. So this year, we finally made mobility 50% of our business. The challenge originally was, who do you sell it to? Who had the models over the last 10 years? The explosive growth of IoT. The companies are using wireless data now in their business. I read an article the other day of the wireless broadband sold by cable companies. 90% of their new broadband connections are going to be wireless. So you got cable companies using wireless. You've got customers using it to back up in their business. You've got IoT, which everybody talked about for the last 10 years. So there's just so many opportunities in different areas in businesses. Everybody's using wireless in their business. Even if it's not handsets or tablets, they've got wireless routers. They've got IoT. It's taken over the telecom space, especially in the area we've operated in the past in broadband and LTE, those type things. So it's just a huge opportunity.
And then what's the moment that you find most MVNOs, MSPs, distributors, or other companies trying to break into mobility Uh, Where do you see that they realize that our current process isn't really scalable?
The biggest thing for us with helping folks, whether it be an MSP or an MVNO or a distributor, helping them move into the space where they actually sell mobility, oftentimes those conversations start with, what's your exit plan? Where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? Knowing those businesses, they're really focused on solutions and products that they have to start over every month. For a distributor, they don't have a recurring 10,000 item distribution channel that comes every month where they don't have to do anything. They have to go out and win business every month. Same with MVNOs, MSPs, IT tech service providers. We have one customer who came to us and said, hey, we want an exit plan in 3 to 5 years. Right now, we're starting over every month with revenue. What should we do? And we said, you've got to build some type of managed mobility system where you can get monthly recurring revenue, and we'll teach you how to do it. You've got to have taxation compliance, bill it properly. You got to be able to rate it. You need to be able to manage it, specifically if you've got multiple carriers that your customers want access to, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. Having us as a partner, we help turn their business from starting over every month and trying to find that revenue somewhere, having big sales teams, to monthly recurring revenue for customers that they're already in front of. So that you could just package the data with the other products and solutions that they already sell, and you've transformed their business. Now, from an equity value standpoint, where this conversation came with this particular partner, we've been able to help, their equity value has gone through the roof. With an exit strategy for a company that doesn't have monthly recurring revenue, they're valued at much less a multiple than companies that are looking for an exit that have a big MRC type footprint. So you're adding that on to those, servicing those customers still with one invoice. But what you're doing is you're changing your business from having to scratch and claw revenue every single month to finding something that's going to be coming under contract. That's where the light bulb moment comes, and they come to somebody like us and our AMOP platform, along with our Catapult billing platform inside AltaWorks. What that does is it gives them all those tools where they don't have to have those direct relationships. They can come to us, one simple managed mobility ecosystem, and then they can hit the ground running with customers that they don't need to acquire anymore. They're already in front of. It's a really neat value prop, and we've been able to see a lot of great growth from those customers that come to us with those types of issues. So that's the light bulb moment for us, Joe.
And how does chasing MRC start to feel more like a burden than an opportunity?
It's monthly recurring revenue. For us as a company, 2006, I came to the epiphany that my business wasn't worth anything. We had a successful business, but everything was selling hardware. And then we got commissions from carriers all up front. So there was no recurring revenue. So started trying to figure that out. One of the things we ended up having to do is build products. There weren't white label products back then. Then we had to figure out how to do billing, and billing was all manual. So if we sold a customer in one jurisdiction, we had to manually set all that up. So when you start, if you don't have a good partner, it becomes a real burden when you start selling customers and you're having to manually bill, manually tax. And those things are crazy. And then you get into one of the things I think Keith may be asking you that question, what keeps you up is usage billing. Keith has that burden now of dealing with usage billing. But if you don't have a good partner for those products and for the billing, we spent a lot of money building a voice platform. We spent a lot of money learning how to bill. It cost us a couple $100,000 to become a carrier. Well, now it's easier. There's a turnkey solution called Catapult where we give you back office as a service and billing. We also have all the products. If you want to do voice, mobility, internet, all that exists now. When you start building recurring revenue, that back office stuff can be a beast. If you don't have a good partner to help you learn how to do that, it can really drive you crazy. Having the right partner for the back office and the monthly billing, it makes it easier. You can focus on dealing with your end customer.
Are there other areas in terms of the transformation that AMOP enables beyond just the technical operations?
The best example for us on that question is one of our customers was one of the bigger wireline or fiber providers in the Southeast, several $1,000,000 of fiber. They own their own fiber ring. They've done very well. But one of their biggest customers on the wireline side was also a huge mobility opportunity. So what they've done is they've been able to use the AMOP platform and transform their business and sell mobility where before they were just selling fiber connections. What they've been able to do operationally is with a single pane of glass, they've been able to service those customers that just bought wireline, but now bought mobility over several different carriers in a single pane of glass. It's transformed their business. Their first deal was $6 million. And that's transformed their business to now where their mobility, and they can bundle that with their wireline side. It has done so much for their business from a recurring revenue standpoint. Their mobility piece on that one customer was probably 10x what it was before with that particular customer, because they were able to capture that revenue by having a platform to manage it inside of their company, automated tools, revenue assurance, integrations to their billing system, taxation and compliance, ratings, all of those things inside the software. They would have had to find 2 or 3 different partners to be able to manage that operationally. And what this has been able to do is it's been able to turn them into a carrier. So they have all the bells and whistles at their fingertips in one single pane of glass. And from a transformation standpoint, it's added one piece of software to their operational team, but they haven't had to increase their headcount. They've been able to add all of that revenue without going up. So their revenue per employee is skyrocketed by using this particular platform. Watching those transformations, really, that's where Rickie and I find the most joy, is finding those resellers and those agents that want to get into this monthly recurring revenue business with mobility, and then giving them a platform where they have one throat to choke, one vendor to look for all of these different types of solutions inside of one ecosystem, and not have to have all these direct relationships, which means 3 to 6 other different vendors. And Rickie mentioned, to become a carrier itself, it could cost well over $100,000 to just be set up, certified, and licensed to sell into different jurisdictions, depending how deep your footprint is. So those are the types of things that we're doing to lift, to build, to incubate, and to help other resellers. And then the mobility game is difficult. And Rickie will tell you this. You mentioned keeping me up at night. That burden has shifted from him to me. Mobility billing can be difficult, and you need a platform to do it correctly. Managing it over spreadsheets and having people do those things manually, whether it be optimization or rate plan changes, is very hard. It takes a long time, and your invoices aren't correct, and it means credits and going back to the carrier for things that you need support. So if you can find a partner with a platform, that should be part of your criteria. And that's really where we've been able to help those businesses become heroes to their customers. So that's really what makes us most excited about 2026, is finding more partners in that way.
What sort of feedback do you get from your clients?
For most of our customers, where they find their relief is being able to automate a lot of things that they were having to do manually. Like you mentioned earlier, a lot of our customers use spreadsheets to do this work, and it takes hours. I'll give you an example. Another ETMA member was doing all this manually. Their CFO was having to do all this work manually. So what they're going to be able to do is now do all that and take maybe an hour to do what they were spending 14 hours a month doing. When they start looking at the operational efficiencies they're gaining from using the platform, they get really excited about it. The other things too that they find out is they're not missing billing things. One of the big challenges we had before we built the optimization was doing that same process manually. We thought we were really, really good at it. But what we discovered after we started running the optimization is we actually started billing 20% more. So our profits went up. When you're billing usage, it's hard to make sure you get it right. But once you start using an automated system and you have some quality assurance checks in that as before you go into billing, you can really find a lot of the bottom line and top line revenue. So that really, for most people, is it saves labor. And then they find out that I'm starting to bill more because I'm not missing usage. So those are the aha moments where they really start using something like AMOP.
So what sort of things are you hearing from your customers in terms of having them describe that feeling of having clarity?
A lot of it was around reporting. We have a single database across all platforms. So we're integrated with 7 or 8 different carriers. All that data is in a single platform. When somebody uses AMOP and they're trying to understand their business and what's going on, they have the ability to look at that across every carrier in one place in the reporting. They can go into our reporting module and see all those reports. Our customers can do the same thing because AMOP is multi-tenant, so the customers can see that as well. So their customers need data to run their business, and they're able to look at that in there as well.
And what's that first big aha moment or sense of relief that customers feel?
Well, I think it goes back to that labor saving. And then when they get to the end of the month, they go through that first billing cycle and realize it's being done automatically. And all they're doing is just checking off. Say, here's the optimization. Do you agree with it? You check yes and you're done. So for those guys, it's really that first billing cycle that they've fully implemented the platform. And they look and say, well, this wasn't so bad. The scary thing, again, it goes back to what Keith and I both said earlier, is that usage billing is scary. And like you said, as you're doing with spreadsheets, there's a lot of human error in there. But once they get through that first billing cycle and it goes through and they check yes, go ahead and push that. That really is the aha moment. This is a lot easier than we thought it was going to be.
Hardest part of the journey.
For us, it's watching them take the first leap, making sure they understand the story from going from a single solution provider, an MSP, something like that, and saying, hey, I need to become a reseller. That's the hardest part, is just making the leap. Now, You could be an agent and make commissions and things like that, which aren't guaranteed, but moving into that actual reseller piece where you are the carrier doing support, taking care of your own compliance. Once they understand the equity value behind that and know what investment it would take, finding the right partners is just based on what criteria have you set for how they're going to help and support you get to that next level, which means, hey, I want to be a reseller. Maybe I scale up to a certain portion and maybe I find an incubator. Maybe I find some other platform like AltaWorks or the AMOP software. But the hardest part is actually making that decision. One recent decision that we've seen one of our customers make was moving from an equipment to distributor type business into this space where now they want to be a mobility reseller. And the hardest part for them was just, how do I time it? How do I work with each vendor? We have something called AMOP University, where we have a whole criteria building set of blocks, a whole education track that we put people through to teach them how to become an actual reseller, to use the software so that they get to take advantage of all the things that the carriers normally take advantage of. Things like breakage, unused data, how to manage pools, custom rate plans, things like that. So the hardest part is, hey, I need to transform my business. Rickie will tell you 20 some years ago, he went from an agent model to a reseller model. The hardest part was just say, hey, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to get smaller to get bigger. My revenue, I know, is going to go down because I'm not going to do commissions anymore. I'm going to start selling product and reselling it and doing all the support. So maybe you go from 3 million to $1 million, and then all of a sudden you explode to 5 million in a year, and then you're on your way. Your equity value is exploding. Your footprint as a company from a revenue standpoint is exploding. But taking that first leap, understanding that that's what you need to do, is always the hardest part. We just try to walk through and make sure that their journey as a customer of ours and a partner, we make sure that's as seamless as possible. Put them through AMOP University, let them look through all of those things that they need. Having an LMS on there, they can access information they could use for their business. Give away the secret sauce. Rickie's always telling them, he said, give away your knowledge for free. That's one of the things he always says. They still have to execute. Give away your knowledge for free. Allow them to execute it, and then we'll grow with them and help them along the way. The hardest part is, hey, when do I need to make the leap? And we're here to support them and transform their business.
Our revenue went down 72% that year.
Can you share an example where a customer hit a wall and you helped them get through it?
You know, we got to the point in our business where every month we started over. We were a national telephony dealer for one of the largest imaging companies in the world. If they had an opportunity for a phone system, they would call us. We also were an agent for Bell South, and everything we did was up front. We kept struggling with, how do you build recurring revenue? How do you build recurring revenue? And for us, like Keith said earlier, it was just that moment where I said, we can't keep doing this over and over again. And that in 2013, we decided, hey, we're going to be a carrier. We're going to quit doing everything we were doing. So we went from $2.5 million down to $950,000. You know, and now we're selling at 8 figures now. But we made the 5,000 5 times in a row, which is only 4% of companies ever made 5,000 ever did that. So we made that journey, and everything we learned is what we're offering now with AMOP and Catapult and AltaWorks. We hit that wall and like, hey, our business is not worth anything because it's all non-recurring. How do we change that? And so it really, for us, we took a big leap and said, hey, we'll just quit doing everything we're doing and we're going to do all this new stuff. And that's what we're offering now with our white level programs, our AMOP platform, and helping people, teaching people how to build recurring revenue with AMOP University and that type of stuff. So we were the ones at the wall, but we've seen that with other carriers, other people that become carriers on their platform.
How does the day-to-day operation change once everything is streamlined and visible for your partners?
It's a great question. That single pane of glass for the platform that it provides allows you to look in one place with one login for everything you need to see across those carriers, billing integrations, things that you'd have to swivel chair. The day-to-day operations, Rickie mentioned this earlier, it's one of the biggest aha moments when people actually stop and look at what we're doing. We do business with a big trucking company that does a lot of logistics for some of the biggest box stores in the country. They had 2 people in their business, full-time employees, doing nothing but manage their data on spreadsheets every single month. Trust me when I say that is not a fun job to crunch data in that way. Those 2 people were able to be repurposed to a place where they added value to the business with this piece of software that cost a fraction of what those two salaries cost, those people's work-life balance was much more positive after the software went in. They were our biggest champion. But it just changes the way that you do business because operationally it streamlines and automates so much of what you do manually. If you get into a bigger footprint where you've got multi-carrier, it's even worse. And there's a lot of things that we're able to add from a software development standpoint onto that platform that the carriers themselves don't even have. One great example is bulk change. There's so many carrier platforms right now that have been built and added upon and brought together through acquisitions, whether it be the Opus platform or the ThinkSpace platform. They're just old crickety software that people use from a portal standpoint to manage these SIMs and rate plans. You can only do maybe 5-10 line updates at a time. With AMOP, you're able to do hundreds, if not thousands, of bulk changes instantaneously through API connections and automation integrations. So for us, it's a major win for our customers. Operationally, their life changes almost immediately. That first billing cycle is drastically different from the last. Rickie mentioned you've got one database where you can look at all your information, and it's seamlessly integrated into billing systems that push and rate data. The revenue assurance piece is a huge for finance. Operationally, managing those lines is a huge win for support and operations. Financially, the customers of that platform see the ROI immediately. And that's where we want to play is how do we give somebody the platform to be able to jump off? There's a lot of iterations of platform in technology industries, specifically with telephony and mobility. What is a platform really built to do? It's built for you to climb and jump to where you want to go. Well, that's exactly what this AMOP platform does. It allows you to get where you want to go. And then you never return to the lower spot because you're always on that platform. So that's exactly what the software is made to do. Almost immediately, they're going to see the benefits of that automation. The benefit for us is we get to see them transform, and then they can focus on sales and marketing and grow like crazy, which helps everybody.
How do you crack the code, and how does monthly revenue growth become a machine instead of a mystery?
Yeah, that's a great question. We had hundreds of customers before we became a carrier and started recurring revenue. All of our existing customers that we had sold as agents became our customers. We've got customers that have been with us for 20 years. Instead of having that one-time sell and maybe hoping they're going to renew in 3 years or do something else, you start stacking that revenue up. So you can really sell at the same rate, but you start stacking the revenue up. And so that really is what we saw. We took our existing customers that we had sold as agents and got those out commissions, AT&T commissions, and then we moved them over to our platform. And so it becomes one of those things. Like I tell my guys, if we don't sell anything this month, we're going to do the exact same amount of revenue next month as we did this month. We don't add anything to it. So it's really one of those things where if you value your existing customers and you manage that retention relationship, and you just build it up and build it up. And if you do have a down month, it doesn't affect you as much. You're not starting over every month. So that really is where you find that relief when you start building the value of your business.
And how does AMOP allow your partners to serve their customers better?
I'll give you a great example. We've got somebody in the TEM space that recently contacted us and asked us to do some analysis on some of their customers' data. And they wanted to use the platform, and this was kind of like a case study, if you will, of how we can help them. So we were able to receive their customers' carrier bills. We were able to analyze them and quickly saw that their customers were buying data in a way that it was costing them tens of thousands of dollars a year more than it needed to. So this is a great example of oftentimes companies look to buy a product and don't understand what that product really does for them. So unlimited plans is a great example. This enterprise level customer was buying hundreds of unlimited plans thinking that they were saving on the risk of data overage for their corporate phones and iPads. What we're able to quickly do is look at that pool of data and notice that they don't really need a bunch of expensive unlimited plans. Most of their average data use was 8 gigs a month. And what AMOP's able to do is optimize all those lines together, pool it to where that customer only has to buy maybe 8 or 10 gig plans, multiply that by hundreds of lines, and the cost they incur on that amount of pooled plans versus what they're paying for their unlimited plans, we're able to save them tens of thousands of dollars. What it was able to do for our customers is they can go to their end user customer and say, here's a bunch of savings that we can have. And in the place, in this space for us, specifically the ETMA partnerships, that's a powerful tool to be able to do that and do it at a push of a button. They can go and say, let's pool these plans and build some customer rate plans for you guys that fits this pool and automate it in a way that you can optimize monthly at the push of a button that Rickie mentioned earlier. Now, that's a super powerful tool to be able to go to those enterprise level customers and have that much impact on their business by just changing a rate plan in a single pane of glass. You could even do it cross carrier. So multiple carriers can be thrown into that pool and we can do it in that way. So just educating our customers and saying, hey, this is what you can do for your customer. And then by doing that, you can show a great amount of value and you can monetize that has been a huge thing for us. Unlimited plans, data optimization, basically it turns them into a carrier and then they can sell the right product to their customers instead of the product that their customer was sold in the first place. So that's really powerful.
What's the first step to getting out?
Well, schedule a call with Keith and his team and let them learn about your business. Our solution is really built around the customer. Our platform is API first. The different customers we have that are using our platform and carriers, they're all different. Everybody has a different business model. So really the key to that is let us understand what you're doing today and what your goals are, where your gaps are. And then we can customize our platform and integrate with different carriers. So we have some people, for example, that use our platform that have 3 or 4 different carriers and they may that aren't with us and then they buy some connectivity for us. So we're able to like really understand the business, where their pain is, and then put that together. And even if they need custom solutions, we do that as well. So the first thing is to start a conversation with Keith and his team and let them understand where their business is today and where they want to go.
What are some of the most innovative or exciting projects that you've been part of over the past year?
I'll tell you the one that we've got the most traction on, that we've been putting out feelers in the industry and that we're building, is private networks that allow you to throttle by application. And by doing that, it allows immediate reporting. Carriers right now, the reporting that you get from data usage is a little bit stale. Maybe it's 12 hours old, maybe it's 2 days old. But throttling by application on a private network, it's a really innovative idea. Private network's been out there for quite a bit of time, but layering on software on our platform that allows you to throttle by application and do it on a pooled plan, which nobody else has out there in the industry right now. Being able to do that, what it does is mitigate your usage risk and make sure that, Fred isn't watching Netflix and burning up data that you're paying for, as a business while he's at home, but it also protects. So it could be a security type thing. It could be managed with an MDM. So it's all these other solutions that can be added on and not just a rate plan that we've been building out. And you can still manage it on the AMOP platform on a single pane of glass. That's a really innovative thing that we've been doing. Other than that, AMOP enhancements, we're throwing 2.0 out there. It's a brand new UI, UX, a lot more back-end database flexibility, multi-tenant. We've got our own billing platform integrated into AMOP as well. So everything's seamless, all inside of AMOP's platform. So you don't have to go outside. The swivel chair is one of the biggest operational benefits of having that type of platform. Those types of things that you're getting immediate ROI from labor are a big deal for us. Those are some of the bigger things that we're on. Rickie, I know you had a couple as well.
So this has been a crazy year. Having that billing platform integrated with AMOP it creates that single database. And that's going to allow us to apply AI to our platform and do more things with AI from a reporting standpoint. It'll help us improve our optimization and making decisions. Having that single database and AI applied to that database will allow our customers to make better business decisions and drive down costs and innovation that way.
AI is everywhere. We use it for development. We use it for, algorithm efficiencies, certain automations, reporting. It's all over the place. And it's not going to, making sure that we're using it strategically in a way that really benefits our customers was a big thing for us.
So if I were to give you a billboard for Times Square and you wanted to distill a couple key messages onto that billboard about AMOP and your solution, what would we want to put on that billboard? Let's start with Rickie, and then Keith will let you layer on your response.
Well, for me, I would put it on there is we help companies build their equity value with recurring revenue, because that's really what it's about. It's because everybody that starts a business is going to sell it at some point, right? Not many people leave it to their kids. So we all have an exit strategy of at some point it's going to be worth something and I've got to sell that to somebody. And the only way to build that value is to build recurring revenues so you can prove to them when they buy your business that it'll be doing the same thing next year. If you go back and look at valuations, and Keith mentioned it earlier, we had a partner that started using our platform to build recurring revenue because what he found out is $25 million a year business was not worth as much as he thought because he had no recurring revenue. So really, if I had a billboard, it's like recurring revenue. That's what
I'm with Rickie too. The equity value with monthly recurring revenue is the biggest thing for us. Don't get left behind because your competitors are doing it. And it happens so fast. Ricky and I are talking to dozens of people every year about how they want to move into this space. Oftentimes, we can't tell them that their biggest competitor just made the switch and they're already late. There's no reason to wait. You need to take the leap as soon as you can. Even if you don't do it with us, your criteria needs to be built off what platform is going to allow me to incubate the fastest as a reseller, and then give me the best tools to be able to manage this type of business. It's people that want to build the recurring revenue that they can have to exit. If you're not going to choose us, that's fine. But if you do choose somebody, your criteria needs to really be built off who gives you the best automation and the tools, and how could I leverage that the best to be able to have the best exit. That's the conversations that we're having at the higher level. And then it just turns into an operational conversation, which is here's all the ROI that you get that you're already maybe doing manually. And if you weren't doing it manually, here's what it would cost you as a business. And those are really complex conversations, but those are the ones that bear the most fruit.
Are there any early life experiences or people that set you on the path that you ended up that resemble kind of what you do today?
Yeah, I don't really know how I ended up wanting to have my own business. My dad was a CPA, very safe, secure. He worked for the same firm, worked for Deloitte. He was one of the very few people that ever retired from Deloitte, because everybody usually gets a Deloitte goes gets a big job somewhere else. And I can remember selling seeds as a kid. I had a business selling seeds. I had a business selling sunglasses. I sold rocks for $0.25 that we got out of the creek behind the house. Mowed a guy's yard for $5. And then I've had like 3 or 4 businesses that weren't successful until now. So really, for me growing up, I don't know who that person was that made me decide that I wanted to have my own business, and it was always around selling something. So I'm not really sure where that came from, because it wasn't my dad. My dad pushed us to be great at what we do, and that was always a challenge. But really, it was that somewhere somebody I must have met pushed me into wanting to have my own business.
Yeah, I'll say for me, it's pretty easy. I've got these framed jerseys and a sweater behind me. They're from my dad and my grandfather, 2 of the biggest heroes of my life. This 1932 sweater here is my grandfather's Letterman sweater from his high school graduation year. What those guys have taught me is don't do it like me, do it better. So no matter where I've been in business, it's been, hey, how do I take this challenge and how do I overcome what we're doing today and just do it better? It's funny. Ricky hired me as his VP of finance, and he fired me and made me a CRO because I'm terrible at math. So I'm always trying to do something better than the last guy. And for me, I made a post on LinkedIn when I got the president's role, which was, I'm standing on shoulders of giants, and no more so than my father and my grandfather, who showed me how to work hard, but also said, don't do what I did. I take that mindset, whether it be sales, whether it be my relationships with my employees, Ricky mentoring me. How do I take what he's teaching me and add something to it and make it better? All of those things. That's my mindset. And it come for those 2 guys. And that's why I've got their jerseys and Letterman jackets hung up behind me.
If your younger self listened to this episode, what do you think would surprise them the most about where you ended up right now?
Probably that I'm not on Wall Street. That's really where I wanted to go, originally, is how do I take my talents there and make a pile of money and retire when I was 40? Instead, I've gone from public accounting to pharmaceuticals to manufacturing to software to telecom, back into software. The journey is what makes it sweet. My younger self would be like, man, it took you forever to get to that role. Well, he'd probably say, what took you so long?
And Ricky, if you could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
Recently, last year, I made a new friend, and he's a writer. And the guy that wrote the foreword to his first book was Stephen Pressfield. So Stephen Pressfield wrote Bagger Vance. So in that process, he introduced me to a book called Turning Pro. And it really is about taking the approach to everything you do as a professional. So if you go back and look at having a relationship to practice, I always want to be a good golfer, but I never practiced. So if you could really go back, and if I started over, I told him, like, shoot, if I had that book when I was a kid, I'd be a billionaire. And it's about taking that approach, no matter what job you have or what you're doing, to be a pro, right? And act like a pro. So you work hard. It really, practice is the hard part. And when you get in the game, it's the easy part. So whether you're selling, or you want to be a good golfer, or whatever it is in life you want to do, if you read Stephen Pressfield's Turning Pro, everybody would probably be more prosperous and better at what they do. And if I could tell myself that and take myself that book, it would be a game changer.
What do you think would surprise your younger self most if they listen to this episode?
I'm not really sure, because I know, like I said, I always wanted to have my own business. I was in the food business for 20 years. I started working in restaurants. When I turned 13, my dad took me to get a job at a restaurant. I worked in restaurants all through high school. In my professional career, I ran 2 of the largest food service operations in Alabama. I ran the Civic Center Birmingham and the Civic Center Mobile. What I learned when I was in Mobile was like, man, I'm really good at sales. And that's really what I should do. but nobody let me do it because I've never done it for anybody before. So I just started my own business and started doing it for myself. I guess that I'm in a business now where I still look at myself as a sales guy, right? Even though we've got a fairly successful business. We have customers in 46 states, Canada, Mexico, China. We got stuff in Sweden. That probably would be the most surprising thing is the way the company's growing to. The fact that I'm selling stuff would not be as big a surprise. When I started the company, the town we're in only had 15,000 people. Now it's 25,000, but still, we were able to build an international company from a small town. So that's kind of a cool thing too.
What are you passionate about? Hobbies or other things outside of work?
My kids, for sure. I love sports. I love playing golf. Rickie introduced me to golf a couple years ago, and it's been a lot of fun to play golf with him. It's like 4 hours straight of he and I just strategizing the golf course, but also the business. I think we've seen a ton of growth by playing golf together. I would say that those are my big passions right now.
Yeah, I'm going with Keith because I played golf. I started playing golf when I was 9. In the last few years, I was playing 4 or 5 times a year with my brother and my dad. Keith started playing golf. So now we're playing golf about once a week. And my handicap is as low as it's ever been. It's about 8 right now. Golf's a big passion. Fishing is a big passion. Flying's a big passion. For the last 12 months, I've been working on storytelling with Scott Mann. That's been really interesting for me. And it has applications in the business too. It's also a lot of fun to look back at the pivotal points in my life that you kind of forget about that are unpleasant, and then start looking at that from a storytelling standpoint. And that's the only reason I'm here is because that bad thing happened to me. So storytelling over the last 12 months has been a lot of fun.
Can the audience find out more about AMOP?
Go to our website, getamop.com. You could also go to sourceworks.com. That'll have some things on there about the AMOP platform. You can find us on LinkedIn, all social media platforms, things like that. Dan, both Rickie and I, we've got company pages that you can direct message to us.
This was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
thanks for having us.
ETMA Talk podcast requires more than a conversation. It takes research, collective wisdom, and action. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear your insights. Join the conversation and help us shape the future together. We'll be back with more stories, strategies, and real-world solutions from the market's top problem solvers, making a difference for everyone. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, write a review, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode.